not right now. I'll get a month of free YouTube Premium later. So yeah, this is ChaseTheLux, Deluxe, Lux on the microphone, and I'm here with the other player that you see on the screen, the current and in my opinion, at least the best player in the world, but definitely Supernova 2025 champion, Player-1. So glad to have you here, and I want to talk a little bit about Brawl and Supernova 2025, the future of the game, it's all kinds of stuff. So thank you for hopping in this call last minute with me.
Yeah, glad to be here. I always enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, and I as always, I think it's not a secret to a lot of people in the community that we are, pretty good friends inside the game and even outside of the game. So definitely glad to. I'm not happy that I didn't win the tournament, but I am happy that that you won. And it's a very very overall net positive, happy feeling for me. So yeah, let's dive into it. I do want to talk about a couple of things, and the first thing that I kind of wanted to cover when talking about it is just kind of the nuts and bolts of it. Let me pull up the standings for the Supernova 2025 tournament, and that'll give us an opportunity just to I guess informally do shoutouts or talk about specific players that we saw that had a good things happen throughout the event. Let me put a pause here on the background game, and let me pull up the standings here. What are we looking at? Top 8 standings. Does it go past top 8 on standings here on Start GG, or do I have to go to the whole thing? Start GG is always impossible for me to navigate, so stand by, everybody, while I try to figure this out. Does it show everybody? There's usually a way to show everybody. All right, here we go. This is everybody on the list. So, obviously going down this list, the Supernova 2025 was a pretty big event, right? I think we had it was larger than 2024 by a handful of players, which I think, quite frankly, is a pretty remarkable achievement, given that there was some tightening up on the games that players were allowed to enter. I think it went down from like 5 or 6 to 4 games. So people had like kind of less of a reason or maybe more of an excuse not to enter Brawl in ways that they hadn't in previous years. So I'm glad that despite that, we were still able to see, a bit of an increase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought actually going into this, I thought we had broken 200, but I think we are like right underneath it.
Yeah, we're at 192. I don't know if we had broken 200. I know that like in 2023 we had broken over 200. And I'm not sure how much. Isn't that? I think part of that might have been like the first like big supernova coming out of the pandemic shutdowns and stuff like that. So there's maybe a little more pent up urgency to go to an event in ways that we probably will not see ever again. So that might have been an anomaly or a blip on the radar, or maybe in 2024 we just screwed the pooch somewhere around the around the line and drove everyone away. I don't know. That's we can maybe talk more about that. But 192, I think, is a good showing. Obviously, like we started off at the top of the discussion, Player-1 first place. So shout outs to Player-1. Like I said, I think it's pretty hard to make an argument against it. But I think the probably undisputed best player in the world right now, just based off of results. So very, very good showing to Player-1. Somewhere along the line, somebody let Brawl's Not Dead, KSM, FHC, CT, GCUF, Deluxe into the top 8, especially into grand finals, which is a miracle of disastrous proportions, depending on which side of the on the aisle that you sit. And then Cody coming in third. Vex coming in 4th place, tied for 5th, Mr. Ryan Ness and Kaios, and then tied for 7th, Fallen and Mike Ray to round out the top 8. Was there any interesting developments that you saw in top 8 that kind of stood out to you?
I guess you getting second. That's like your best result, right? Also.
Right. Yeah. Speaking on that, I think there's been an interesting trend over the last couple few years, right? Because I like in 2023, I came out of retirement more as a meme because Sweet Spot 7, was it 7? Let me think. Yeah, 7 was my bachelor party, right, for my wedding. So it was just kind of we were just like kind of Grunion and I and a bunch of us were memeing and like, oh, we should just throw a brawl tournament and just see if people will come to it. And then you came out and Chia came out, and it was kind of funny how that turned out. But I came in 7th in 2023 at SmashCon, losing to Mike in 6. 6 had his like godlike losers run to win that tournament. So I was an unfortunate victim of his early upset. Um, and then the next year I came in 4th, and then this year I came in 2nd. So over the year, 2023 to 2024, my placing reduced in half, and then the following year it reduced in half again. So I hate to break this to you. If all trends continue, Hunter, in 2025, if the pattern continues, we might be seeing a number one placement if these things hold true.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I had like a similar pattern going on for a while where I got like fifth 3 years in a row or something, and I think I got fourth, and then third, and then second, and then I went back up to third. So
Right. Yeah, it would have been more poetic if it was like an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. This year, like you had not had the the placing, but still, like but even then, third place is still really good. I think once you kind of break into the top four, um, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Because a lot of it's determined based off of who gets early upsets and things like that. So it's always a tough run of it. On my end, I think the biggest, I don't know, the surprise for me was the Kirby Meta Knight players, or well, I guess Meta Knight only at this point, but mostly Kirby Meta Knight, because Fallen, of course, being a historically elite Kirby player back in the day, kind of coming out of retirement and hitting buttons, and then the rise of Mr. Ryan Ness coming in 5th place, and the two played each other, I think, in the round of top 8 to see who would end up into that losers quarter side, and seeing kind of new faces in break into that top 8 that are that Kirby Meta Knight situation is very interesting how that lined up. Admittedly, I was a little sad that we didn't see Fallen bring the Kirby back out for this, but I was glad to see Mr. Ryan Ness bring out the Kirby to punch his ticket into a top 8.
um, yeah, honestly, I wasn't too surprised. Like Fallen doing well.
Mhm.
Even though he hasn't entered, I don't think he's entered like a brawl tournament in a very long time. But I mean, he's like, I don't know, he's like not a player who really kept up with Ultimate. I don't think, to my knowledge.
Right.
Um, so I don't know if like, I mean, obviously he played Smash 4, but I don't know if he. I guess I don't know if other Smash games get in the way of him playing Brawl, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Whereas I see other like returning players, they get like really rusty, and I'm sure Fallen was probably rusty to some degree also. But uh, I don't know. It's like I guess it's a matter of like, does the old really good Brawl player like still remember how to play the game? Like I'm not
Mhm.
surprised Fallen did well because I know he has the capability to do well. Like he's already proved it in the past that he can do well. So it's just like kind of a coin flip, whether the player remembers how to be good at Brawl or whether they don't. And I guess Fallen did remember how to play to some degree.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe you can even put Vex into that bucket to a lesser extent, right? Because like Vex has been playing like on and off for the last few years, but it seems like the last maybe 6 months in particular, it's been a little bit of a different renewed interest in the game, and he clearly also remembers how to play the game. So also glad to see him into the top 8. The other side of the top 8 that we haven't really touched much on is Kyle's and Mike Ray. Mike Ray is typically a top 8 mainstay. So I'm glad to see him make it all the way up there. And but Kaios has been something of a I don't know. It's a top 8 has been a little elusive to him for the last couple of years, and he's definitely always struck me as a player with the talent to be a consistent, top 8 placer. It kind of eluded him in the last few years. So I'm glad to kind of see him punch his way back into the top 8.
Was this his first time getting top 8?
I think he had a top. Didn't I vaguely recall he had top 8 at a pre-pandemic Smash Con, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check on his. Maybe I think I saw Ninja in the chat. Ninja seems to have a finger on the pulse on these things, so maybe he can fact check us on when's if Kyle's has had a top 8 or if this is his first battle in the top 8. And speaking of Kyle's, of course, being a Elite Zero Suits. But speaking of Elite Zero Suits, hi Nick Riddle. Thank you for the congratulations on top 2 to me. And I'll also share that to Hunter as well because he had top 1, which is also top 2 in in some sort of respect. So, moving down the list, I think we'll just go through top 32. Ninth place, Ashley Ish Hinkage Gunner. Tied for 13, Supergirl Kells. Azazel, Minty Flesh, Iota. And then tied for 17th, Fear, Arch, Walby, Kiwi, Countess, Poltergust, Winter Shorts, and AC. Anything in that range that stick out to you? Actually, you went first last time. I will go first on this one. I am very ecstatic about Ashley into ninth place, as well as Ish into ninth place. For me, it's just Ish has been somewhat active since 2023 with a handful of tournaments here or there. They made their way out to Sweet Spot this season and Genesis, and this tournament as well. So I think they'll have a resume at least on some level to once again return to the top 20. So Ish clearly knows how to play the game, and Ashley's kind of been maybe a bubble player. I think honorable mention last season, and maybe a little bit of a disappointing compared to honorable mention level at Genesis and Sweet Spot, but coming into ninth at this tournament with the amount of players and talent there is very a very good accomplishment. So I'm happy about that. How about you? I guess I should share my screen for you so you could see
Gunner's
what I'm looking
placement
at.
kind of surprised me, but like in the opposite direction, it was kind of low for him. I don't know. I guess he lost to who did he lose to? Cody. I'm trying to look at the screen, but it's kind of small for me.
Here, I'm sharing
and
my screen
Ryan
for you.
S.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the Ryan S match was interesting, right? Because Ryan S pulled out the Kirby.
Yeah, I think that makes sense from what I've seen from Gunner. I mean, I don't know Ryan S's level of Meta Knight, but I feel like Gunner has that matchup pretty locked down, except for like maybe the top Meta Knights like Cody. So I feel like Kirby Pikachu. I don't remember seeing that matchup too much back in the day, but I feel like that could be like pretty even. Pikachu kind of lacks a lot of like disjoints and range,
Right.
and Kirby has that huge back air. So like I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I'm not surprised that Gunner would have lost that. I guess. And then I noticed, not really shocking because I know Kiaz is good, but I know he lost to Iota, and I watched a little bit of that set where Kiaz got the run back on Iota. So I'm not like surprised, but like I guess that is a notable thing that Kiaz beat Iota this time.
Right. Yeah. Some the way to top 8 is to conquer some demons, right? So getting that run back is really strong. Actually, I missed one strong, a couple other strong results that stood out to me too. Supergirl Kells has been putting a lot of time in the game, including a third place finish at Gommel recently. So coming at 13th on in this game is also a pretty strong showing. Probably on the fringe, maybe of a top 20 or a honorable mention uh, uh, ranking. Once the season's over, we'll have to take a look and see how it all shakes up.
Yeah, I feel like this tournament, just overall, compared to last year, I guess was a little less stacked because
Mhm.
we did not have six.
Or
Was
Hoenn.
Hoenn there last year? I don't remember.
Oh, Hoenn was not there last year.
Yeah, well, again, well, we didn't have Hoenn either. We didn't have Max. Um, and Chia was there but did not enter.
Right.
So overall, like among the top, or I guess the upper, like maybe the top 10ish, it felt a little less stacked. But maybe in the top like 32 area, I feel like looking
Mhm.
at a lot of the names here, I feel like in this area it may have been a little bit more stacked.
Right. Yeah. There's a pretty powerful. I think. Yeah. It's not as top heavy. I think as it has been historically, but it's I think there was some posting about what that breakdown exactly was compared to top 20 and stuff like that. And one of the things that always is not lost on me though is while it is tragic if top players do not make it out to the event. The nice part is just the way the seasons kind of break down is if you do well at this event, then yeah, you typically find your way onto the top 20, for next year, so or for the following year. So it's someone's loss is sometimes other people's gain. Um, One thing that I know that someone pointed out in the chat too is there's quite a few Smash Four players that are doing well in Brawl. Like I know Mr. Ryan Ness was top 8. I think Fallen won. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't SGK come in second in Smash 4? Or was it third? Second or
I
third?
have I did not pay attention at all. I did
Yeah.
see Fallen
So,
win Smash 4, but
oh,
I
that's
don't know anything
doubles.
else about it.
Let me see this. We have it right here. Let's see if this site will cooperate with me. These standings. Oh yeah, Supergirl Kels came in second in Smash 4. So two ways to look at it. A lot of brawlers are dominating Smash Four, or alternatively, a lot of Smash Four players are doing well in Brawl. Depending on how you want to look at it, either way is fine. Yeah. Let me see. Just to round out the top 32 before we get too deep into it. Swoos tied for 25th. Um, Pilgrim Shadow, Ghost, Weffels, PK, the Kansas legend, Iron Wolf, Spade, Transfem Leffen tied for 25th to round out the top 32. Um, I think of those players in particular, biases for PK being a Kansas player. So I always view PK on the come up. I was, just from watching gameplay, Transform Leffen, I'm particularly impressed with as an up and coming player. So I look for good things from her in the future. Maybe a year away from a potential legit shot to the top 20. All right. Any thoughts on those results before we can look at doubles really quick?
No, not really. I don't know most of these players,
Sure.
so I
Sounds
guess I don't
good.
really have any thoughts on them.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Let's look at doubles really quick. Let me find the standings. Man, doubles, and this is you know, uh, obviously I did not do as well as doubles as I wanted to, and you didn't enter doubles because you have those real life real life world Johns. You got work and just travel is tough. Kids as you get older, some of us stay in school and continue to become productive members of society, and sometimes those comes with duties and obligations that makes it hard to go to an actual tournament on a Thursday. Not all of us are like the other that can just take off Thursday, but I was fortunately able to do that and fly out on Wednesday and make it happen. I heard that there was some problems on the melee side of the event, where I guess people didn't know doubles was going to be on Thursday. So and that was like a disaster because like thousands of people, not maybe not thousands, hundreds of people that just didn't know that the tournament was supposed to be that day. So I wonder how that shook up, but I don't really want to look too much into it. But looking at doubles, we'll just look at there's 32 teams, which is a few more teams than last year. I think like three more teams, which is pretty good. First place, Cody and Mike Ray. Second place, Kyles and Vex. Third place, Fino and Gunner. Fourth place, Fallen AC. Fifth place, Iron Wolf, Hinkage, and Chia and myself. And seventh place was Kiwi, Poipol, Pelka, Mr. Ryan Ness. And that rounds out the top 8. You weren't there for doubles, Hunter, but I thought it was interesting at the top. Kyles and Mike Ray looked like they were absolutely primed to win this tournament. They went into winners finals and they just kind of laid the beat down to go 3-0 in winners finals to pick take their seat into grand finals. I didn't actually see grand finals doubles and how that actually played out on the screen because I know Cody and Mike Ray figured it out and they got the run back on loser side and winners, or on winner side and loser side in grand finals to take the tournament. But if you had asked me before grand finals happened, like, who's going to win this tournament? It's like, Kyles and Vex. They look just absolutely unstoppable. But if you're going to knock out the champ, or if you're going to beat the champs, you got to knock them out, right? And they just were not able to knock out last year's champs. So congrats to Cody and Mike Ray for taking that doubles tournament. It was definitely an accomplishment, especially because they probably had their toughest test so far as a team together.
Yeah, I mean, I did not see the games, but just I forgot that Vex played Game & Watch. So when I heard they were going Game & Watch Zero Suit, I was like, I feel like they could probably win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I didn't see the games, so I know it's hard to say like what went right and what went wrong, I guess. But
Right.
I do feel like the team is very strong, Zero Suit Game & Watch. So
right, yeah, no, it's definitely a strong team for sure.
I think if and then Fino and Gunner, I think they were also like have teamed before in the past and have done well. So, but yeah, I guess among the like who's gonna win? Yeah, the top two there kind of seemed like the top two that were gonna win the whole thing.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I think Fino and Gunner, they came in second last year at the event. Chia and I came in third. And Fallen and AC kind of broke out of retirement and sent us home early in that event. That's kind of that's my bad. I don't know. I just I need to go to the eye doctor or something. I just cannot see the CRT screens from far away. So I think I got hit by. If there is a snake on the screen, it was just it was over for me. Or not just snake, but like all of them are on the screen too. You can't like see the Pikmin and stuff like that. That's not to be not to be just Johnny about losing and stuff like that. But man, I felt very old very quickly at the event. As soon as I sat down far away from the TV, I was like, oh shit, I cannot see anything right now.
Yeah, I am still going to next year push for doubles to not be on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. They just have to do it. Hopefully, they do it like in the morning on Sunday or something like that. I think 64 does it similarly. Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to really sit down as a community and kind of figure that out. But yeah, doubles is always always a good time, and I just think that if we get more people playing, that's great. Yeah, CAC for Brawl Central, CAC did mention that it's pretty set in stone for it to be on Thursday in Discord. But how these things are. Even if you say
Last
that
time
it's like set in stone,
I don't know if I missed I don't know if I missed a message, but last time I spoke, he said that he could try to push it for Sunday, and then I didn't see any follow up after that. So
yeah, well, it sounded like based off his conversations and feedback with Supernova staff, it turned out that they couldn't do Sunday. But I just I guess I'm not overly convinced that it can't be done because I know Smash 64 does it, and but obviously we don't run the event, right? So sometimes just kind of gotta roll with the punches and what they say goes because it's their it's their tournament. But at some level, even if we can't get it on Sunday, I really would like for maybe even the finals to be put off so that way we can get it on stream, even if it's on that Friday during singles or something like that. Just because I think historically speaking, Brawl doubles has always been considered maybe I don't know if it's the peak doubles of the series, but it's up there, right? So, and I think having doubles be on stream would be a good draw for people just to watch the game and kind of be interested about stuff in the game.
Yeah, I think compared to all the other Smash games, especially 4 and Ultimate, I really don't like the doubles mechanics in there.
Mhm.
And I feel like Brawl really shines when it comes to doubles. Melee too is very good. I don't know anything about 64 doubles, but one thing that kind of makes me sad that they removed in future Smash games is like I don't know what you'd call it, but when you when you can send a player into knockback and they can hit other people because that
Uh-huh.
does not happen in other Smash games.
Oh, really?
And I
Does
feel
it?
like
It doesn't.
yeah, I feel like
Oh,
it makes the doubles combos too stale, easy, and a little too handholdy.
right.
Especially with like the DI system and like the throw system. I feel like that's why Cloud was really good in Smash 4 doubles, because the so many throws were just set up so they could combo, so it was just very like for a single player 1v1. So like when it came to doubles, like just throw the other player into Cloud, and he'll like finishing touch or limit
Right,
cross
right.
slash or whatever he wants really. Um,
It's like
so
if everybody had bucket, or if like they just had bucket, there's no risk of getting knocked out of it, or waft online every time or something like that. Yeah, it's they just die.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud's like kind of the most egregious example, but there's a lot of characters in Smash 4 where that kind
Sure,
of happened. But uh, yeah, that mechanic being gone in future Smash games, that's I don't like that change.
fair. All right, I think that covers all the results and shout out style thing. Is there anybody that you want to give shout outs to now that now that we've established that that you are the singles champion and best player in the world? Any shout outs that you wanted to give to people before we talk about other maybe more spicy stuff?
I guess, you and Chia, I guess, for being cool to hang out with all weekend, letting me stay in your guys' Airbnb.
Well, it's our it's not just Chia and my Airbnb. It was your Airbnb too.
Yeah,
But
but I mean,
yeah, no,
I guess I joined in the latest,
yeah,
as far as I know. I don't know what
yeah,
the plans were, but I was just like, hey, are you going to Smash or Supernova? And
right.
do you have a housing plans? So
Yeah, no, it's been working out for outside of you. You were not there for last year because you you came the day after for the extended stay America debacle, so that you were not there for that. But outside of that situation, I think this housing arrangement has been pretty good for the last last few years, and the results seem to follow. So can't mess with a good thing. Definitely love having you there. It was good to even force you to sit down and watch some previous sets in preparation for the tournament as well. So good times. Um, for me, shoutouts wise, I think outside of all the people that we talked about, I think shoutouts to a lot of the people behind the scenes in the community. Cact, in particular, deserves a lot of shoutouts. I know that, especially with stuff going on behind the scenes in the community for this one, that he got a lot of flack, in ways that maybe deserve or undeserved. I don't know. Mostly undeserved in my opinion, but that's my opinion. So I think Cacta really did a good job advocating for the game and getting us extra stream time, um, and stuff like that. So I continue to be optimistic about his leadership in the community and doing a good job. But I'm biased because he and I have a pretty good working relationship. So take that with with some reservations, I guess, if you want to. Um, had some good conversations with actually Charles, formerly Korean, the commentator. That was fun to talk, and he was really enthralled by Brawl. So it's always cool to see some of like the formerly involved community members with Brawl that were maybe young in the game, and they really got their roots in Smash 4, and then they kind of come back and just kind of see the game again. So that was really cool. Um, Shout outs to Ninja because he didn't have the top 32 placing that he wanted, but I know that he put in a lot of work for the seeding. My official stance is that if as far as the seeding goes, if there's anything that you liked about the seeding, that was Ninja's doing, and if there's anything that you disliked and it seemed like the seeding was being rigged or something like that, that was all my nefarious doing. So if there are any complaints, send them to me, and if there's any positive accolades, send them to Ninja for doing the seeding. Anything else that I can think of? Shout outs to Four Sword for handling or putting up with my memeing in the in Brawl Central for the most part. I know he's been he had a rough go of it leading up to Supernova, just some health stuff. So I'm glad it looks like he's on the other side of it, and maybe next year we got to figure out how to get him out to Supernova 2026. So that's another community mover and shaker that I think is really cool to have that. Maybe doesn't get the roses that they deserve sometimes. So I think that covers my shout outs. Oh, and then shout outs, I think, too. One of the things coming out of this event that's been pretty cool is to see a lot of people connect based on region. So, like, Fallen and AC for me being out of SoCal has been pretty cool to see. And I know, like, people from, like, they're trying to start an ATL North. It seems like a regional or Discord or something like that to connect and maybe keep pushing the game out there. So that seems that would seem pretty cool. To me. That's kind of maybe a little different, I think, in terms of momentum for the game that we didn't see from previous Supernovas, and kind of seems like a no-brainer that we would go that route, but it just never really came to fruition in the way that it seems to have for this particular tournament. Um, on one more, very important. As people might have seen for the tournament, let me pull up the results. This is perhaps the most important part of it. This one's for the culture specifically. So, as where'd my standings go? As you can see in the standings, my name in the tournament is a little different than it has been in the past. There's before this, KSM, FHC, CT had been in the sponsor section, but I moved that to the name section because I needed to put Brawl's Not Dead into the sponsor section. And Brawl's Not Dead is the YouTuber that makes a lot of YouTube content video about the game. And I guess it's a little polarizing in the competitive community because some people might feel that there's inaccuracies and things like that. I just don't really care too much about the accuracy or not. Sometimes I just think it's cool that he's trying to he loves the game and just making content for it. And the agreement that I had with him was if I changed my tag to support his YouTube channel and I made it into top 8 for the tournament, he would have to join the Discord and then also try to figure out how to get on NetPlay. So we're working on getting him in the Discord and getting him into NetPlay. And I was not going to not come in top 8 for this tournament. I would have you had to take me kicking and screaming out of the venue to not make it to top 8 because we had to make this happen for the culture. So those are all my shout outs overall. Anything any shout outs hit your memory or did I jog your memory at all for anything before we move on?
Yeah, shoutouts to Cact. Also, yeah, he ran the tournament great. I feel like that's really it.
Shout outs to Four God for still being a god with King DDD.
Yeah, that's true too. He was there. No one else knew except for me, you, and Chia.
Yeah, he's kind of goaded.
Yeah, if he entered the bracket, he would I think easily get top 8.
Yeah, he's extremely talented. I like how he hits grabs out of spot dodge. He kind of sticks his controller out and then makes sure to hit the controller or hit the button at the right time with emphasis. That's probably
He's a
my
very
favorite
animated
part.
player, so he's very fun to play against. Even if you're getting camped out, like
Right.
even when you're getting grabbed and chain grabbed, it's he still kind of makes it fun for you.
Let's get into spicier topics other than the results. 'Cause that's kind of like I don't know. Like people are here. There's some people here, but I don't know if they're here for the results and shoutouts. And some of them are. There's been quite a bit of discussion about the game and the future of the game and all kinds of different topics about the game itself that people probably want some feedback on or responses from. And I think getting it from the best player in the world and the runner up is useful. I would not take everything that we say as the end all be all, but obviously we understand the game a little bit, so it's maybe our opinion might hold at least some weight on it. One of the things we touched on in the results was the ability for the old players to kind of come out of retirement. It's a coin flip if they still remember how to play the game, and if they remember how to play the game, it's going to they tend to do well. What do we think is I guess the missing element for some of the new players to break into top 8 in ways that it seems like only Mr. Ryan has kind of really figured that out in the last year or so.
Um, do you have an opinion? Let me. I need to think
Yeah,
about that.
sure.
Actually.
Well,
So if you
this
could
is for
share your
me.
opinion, I'll think.
Yeah. I think that I think there's something to be said about that. The old guard played in a time when the metagame was more difficult, and so they have like experience that some of the new players do not have. There's a lot to be said about that. I think that I used to believe that it took like a year and a half for a player to kind of develop into the player that they were going to be. Um, and I'm kind of moving away from that, like arbitrary time that it's a year and a half. And I think it just takes like a certain amount of um, formative experiences of grinding it out, being in the tournament chair, playing against strong opponents, problem solving and stuff like that. Um, but I also think that like from coming up back then, the what what players were willing to do in order to pursue winning has become a little bit different. And not to put the new players on blast, but this might be a little bit. I think that some of the new players don't really have a full appreciation of the lengths that it takes to become amongst the world's best at something. I put out a tweet or a post in the Discord recently. Let me find it, and just to, and this is not me just trying to boast or jerk myself off, just for the purposes of the stream, but it's kind of illustrative of something that I've talked about and that you and I actually talked about briefly when we were at breakfast the next day. Let me find this. There's two tweets that kind of stuck out to me. Let me pull up. This is the first one. Over a decade of excellence and counting with Player-1. I put this at breakfast. As you can see, Hunter and I came in first and second. But on the other side of it, back in 2014, believe it or not, Player-1 and I were right next to each other in the 2014 top 100 player ranks. So like we've been I guess intertwined in some skill level way in ways that it's kind of crazy that it's been the way that it has for so long. But the other one that I want to touch on too is this one that I put out, which is again the accomplishments are what they are. People can't really take them away or they can make for them what they are. But I won Genesis. I came in top 2 at singles at Sweet Spot Crimson, and then second at Supernova. But the other thing that people don't really factor in is this is my emoji for the last year of me requesting net play matches for the last year, and I would venture a guess that I'm pretty confident that I probably have the most net play matches played by anybody in the community. in the last year. And that isn't to say that like, oh, if you just play net play, you're going to become a top player. It certainly helps, but this hitting buttons and playing net play is just, and this is just like the ones that I requested. It doesn't include the number of matches of people where I've just accepted playing with them and and not done an emoji to request a game or anything like that. So I probably played hundreds of hours with just people on net play in preparation, and um, that amount of preparation was enough. Was maybe I would say 40% of the preparation that I did just this year to get to where I got. I didn't, I mentioned that in the lead up to the event when we were doing preparation, I kind of not forced you, but offered to go over rewatch some of the sets with Vex that you had at the Invitational with you, just to see if there's anything useful that we can kind of gather out of it and apply into the next match. And I took that same approach with every single player that I had planned to play within the top 16. I couldn't really find anything for I didn't anticipate Minty Flesh beating Kiwi, and I almost lost to Minty Flesh. Actually, I was a little unprepared for how good his Martha's going to be at the Ice Climber matchup. But I watched the last 3 years of Cody footage in the matchup and dialed in on stuff that I needed to look at. I watched the last years of Mike Ray playing the Ice Climber Snake matchup in case that I had to play him in bracket. Obviously, Hunter and I now have hours of tournament footage to work through. That it did not work out the way that I wanted to, but I definitely didn't lose because I was like unprepared for the match. I got outplayed, and sometimes the better player wins in that particular scenario. But I just don't know if we have kind of like a new wave of players that when they talk about the game or think about the game, and the way that they want to be experts at the game without necessarily fully appreciating the task at hand that it takes to become an expert at the game. I don't know if that makes sense. Any thoughts on that? Oh my god, that was sick, by the way. That Falcon
Yeah, I
play,
mean,
the
I think
Tinu play.
I agree. I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. Like a couple of the biggest, well, maybe like what I would summarize the biggest components as is the community is really small, obviously, compared to what it used to be.
Mhm.
I mean, Supernova, we always have like big turnouts, but that's like a once a year thing, and we're getting a lot of people who aren't serious about the game and they're just entering for fun, which is not a bad thing at all. But I guess kind of my point is that like I feel like the best way to get better at a game is to be playing people around your skill level, maybe
Yeah.
like in the same realm. Maybe ideally, like you're playing someone just like slightly better than you, and they
Mhm.
can kind of be your goal to like start beating. So, but like I think if I'm playing against like someone who's just starting out, I don't really think they're really getting much out of it, like as far as how to get better, um, or I mean, like vice versa too. Like if I'm not getting too much out of it too if I'm playing someone like super low level.
Right.
So I think it works in both directions. So since the community is small, like we have players that are like a wide range of skill for different players. Like we have like really good top players that could like you know be in the old top rankings like me and you.
Mhm.
And then like we have some good up and coming players too. And then like we have a lot of mediocre players and a lot of low level players. And so but like sorry, I don't want to say like a lot, I guess, but like like back in the day, like you'd have way more players on each skill tier, I guess, skill
Uh-huh.
level, I guess is what I want to say. So it's easier to find practice. You're getting like way more matchup experience. Like all my matchup experience, I think came from just playing Wi-Fi all as Brawl. I mean, I lived in Georgia, and we had some like wacky characters in Georgia doing well, but like we didn't have like a really good top Meta Knight, and I got all my Meta Knight experience just from playing Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Um, and you had to be like I don't know. I felt like you had to be like ready for like any character, and playing on Wi-Fi back in the day, like it really taught you to like obscure matchups, not only obscure matchups, but like just a wide range of play styles. Even if you're playing against like a Meta Knight, you could play against like a lot of different types of Meta Knights, and like you could find all of that uh by because the player base was just so much bigger back in the day. So
Right.
like yeah, it's harder to get better right now because of that, I think. Um maybe people that are succeeding in getting a lot better, maybe I don't know, but maybe just a thought is they're very good at getting better at watching footage. Some people
Mhm.
I feel like can get better at watching footage. I know like Dr. PP, um, from back in the day, he would always say that he just like really studied, and that like that's how he got better. He watched videos and he studied, and but I don't think that works for everyone.
Right.
Or maybe they just lack the knowledge on how to get better by watching just by watching videos. Because
Right.
PP he lived in North Carolina where there wasn't like a huge like or there wasn't like a lot of top players or really good players to my knowledge. I mean, I'm sure there were some good players, but not like relative to the national scale. Um, and then also, so well, that's one big component. And then just kind of moving on to another big component. I think too many people focus on purely on results. Like if they're not beating the player, like they're not getting better or
Mhm.
like they're not succeeding. But I mean, I can say that my goal in this game, I guess I agree. Like right now, just results wise, I'm the current best player, and I will try to hold on to that title as long as I can. But uh, like my goal was never to be like the best player. I just want to play like as good as I can. I want to play like so I'm satisfied with how I play. If I'm satisfied
Right.
with how I play, I don't care if I lose before top 8. If I'm playing well, I think the results will come. So I mean, yeah, that's still my goal. My goal is just to keep improving and play as good as I know I can play. So
Yeah. Although one thing that I would suggest that is regarding like the the different skill levels and disparities and whether it's easier or harder today versus now is one thing that I think that the current player base has an advantage of compared to how you and I had it maybe back then is that via net play most people have like access to so many of the top 5 to 10 players um, at any given point in time in ways that we didn't back then. Like we would have to travel hours and hours and hours to a major tournament in order to sit down and maybe play like half hour an hour of friendlies with a with a top player. And you augmented that with Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But I would never be able to have uh, like the only time that I played top Meta Knights is like when Ally stayed over or when Mewtwo King stayed over, and that was like kind of a rare event in the grand scheme of my formative development um, as a player. I think one thing that people can do to improve that, I guess I feel like people just don't take advantage of every advantage that they can. Like I'm sitting here offering people free coaching on how to improve, and like only 2 players have taken me up on that in the last 3 years, and and those 2 players ended up being HM ranked the year that they did, by the way. So it's not like there's zero zero results on it, but and I'm not saying that you have to take my coaching in order to improve. I'm just saying that there are a lot of things that people just kind of leave a lot of opportunities on the table nowadays that um, if that were me back in the day and I had these opportunities, I would not leave anything on the table. I just make sure that I'm getting squeezing as much juice out of the orange as possible at any given point in time. Um, but yeah, that's but on the other side of it too, it's the other thing I can think of too is one thing that always concerns me when we talk about new players trying to develop as well. And this kind of maybe speaks to the results part that you're kind of talking about, but maybe in a different way, is that if you are playing games with somebody that's a different skill level than you, if you want to be able to extract, I guess, more ability to improve out of those games is sometimes when you're playing stuff, you don't actually have to work on playing the game itself only. Like in any sport that you play and develop, You don't just sit there and only like if you're trying to become a top baseball player, you don't only sit there and play baseball in order to get better. You'll sit there and do drills. So like from a hitting standpoint, that means like you know hit balls off the tee. You'll do soft toss. You'll do batting practice, and then that's before you even get into playing playing games. And during those sessions, you're working on stuff that to kind of simulate in-game situations. Yeah, I think sometimes people kind of get caught up in like, oh, I need to play this person only in games to practice, and whether I win or lose is going to determine, what value I get out of that practice. I think there's some value that's gotten out of either a just playing games and being willing to lose and trying to problem solve your way out of those losing situations, but also knowing if you are going to lose that maybe it's just about working on winning specific exchanges that you can scaffold on to being a better player against somebody that's closer to your skill level and stuff like that. So um, that's kind of a long diatribe to say that if there are ways to improve, if you're not taking all of them, and the quest is to be satisfied with how good you are, or better than you were the day before. Leaving things on the table is definitely just kind of undermining your ability to do those things. And to me, like leaving opportunities on the table is just something that kind of drives me crazy as a player. So that's kind of why maybe I hone in on this more than other people do in the community. Let's see. Oh, we got a question in the chat. How important is prepping for opponents at high top level? Is it very important? And then, like, what specifically do you look for when video prepping an opponent? Their habits, certain things they don't do well at a certain matchup. Did you have any thoughts on that question? You didn't seem like a very big video prepper to me when we did it, right? You kind of already have can. It seems like to me can play the video in your head from the last tournament, so to speak, like in the way that like chess
Yeah,
players can kind of yeah. Go ahead.
I think VOD reviewing is very important. Yeah, we talked briefly about how I guess we watched my set against Vex in preparation for him the next day, and I hadn't watched yet, but I kind of felt like after the match, I kind of felt like I already, or when I played Vex and he beat me at Monarch,
Yeah,
I kind of felt like I already knew what I needed to do. So I didn't. I guess I wasn't. I don't want to say it would like waste my time, but like my time was probably better spent on other places. But I will say when we did watch it, it kind of it did kind of confirm what I already thought.
yeah,
Um, and it did kind of help to see, or to kind of to see it replayed like on like in person, I guess, instead of just theorizing in my head.
right.
Um, so I know I think VOD reviewing is very important. Um, despite me not doing it this past couple months, except when we got to Supernova. But I guess that's more so like me playing against the I was watching my own VOD against Vex. So like if you're
Mhm.
watching someone else, like if you're studying for a matchup and you decide to watch a top matchup, um, I've had like mixed results with that in the past. Maybe it depends on the play styles. Like sometimes I feel like it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now I do feel like I've just played the game so long that I've kind of seen. I don't want to say like all the situations, but like a lot of situations where I can kind of uh, uh, like the theory craft things in my head, I guess. So
Right,
I
right.
don't know. So I would say like mix, and then what the other part to the question was. So I'm reading the chat. What specifically do you look into when video prepping opponents, their habits? Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I'd never know. Like I guess maybe the reason why I don't know how, or I've had mixed results with watching how other people play the matchups, is like if I'm studying for like habits, I do feel like it can be kind of a coin flip, because maybe something that other person that you're watching is doing is like kind of like conditioning those habits, and that can be really hard to identify in a video. Like
Yeah,
so when you go and play the same player, like maybe you notice they had like a rolling habit in some situations, and you try to play them, and like you try to take advantage of that rolling habits. Well, maybe you're not like doing the thing, conditioning to make that player have that rolling habit in the first place. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
variables that go into it, I think. Like just because you see someone do it in a video doesn't mean like they're going to do it against you, I guess is kind of my point. So like you
Right.
have to, if you do that, you have to kind of be ready to adapt to the situation. Like that might be that's probably one of the most important things in competitive Smash, and any Smash, is just being able to adapt to any situation, because of how variable this game can be.
Right.
um but yeah, I think to kind of summarize, VOD reviewing is important if you're studying for like a specific player and like watching their habits. I feel like it's kind of mixed results for me personally.
Right.
Sometimes it works,
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't.
and I want to like hone in too on what you said like regarding sometimes you're not even like watching videos necessarily to find something new that like when you have enough experience in the game, the video review is sometimes useful to confirm some of the things that you kind of believed at on an intuitive level. And then once you figure it out like on an intuitive level, then it's once you and it's confirmed just with upon review, that allows you to kind of play with a little bit more conviction with some of those ideas. Like sometimes you have some ideas and you're not sure. Like in my scouting report document on some players, I would put like a question mark. Like it's like I think this is the case, but it could be like like you're talking about some elaborate like sequencing or conditioning situation that I'm not seeing. So don't like just assume for sure. But there are other things that like as you get more experience as a player, in my opinion, that it's like, okay, yeah, this is like definitely for sure that I can have some reasonable conviction that okay, this is going to be the case when it happens. And I do agree with your idea that like it definitely helps if it's your own play against people. And because it's more translatable because it's oftentimes if it's someone else playing, you're not able to really always identify just some of the small nuances that just makes other players, or it could just be the fact that it is another player that makes things differently. Like from the ice climber example, if I'm playing somebody, they're going to react much differently than if they were playing 9B or something like that, for example. And that's just by virtue of reputation and being other players and stuff like that. So there's a lot of factors to consider. So
Yeah,
it's something that's essential, but I would just not like it should not be the only thing that you do, right?
I will also piggyback off your piggyback. That You mentioned you and 9B, or you watching 9B, and like, it's the fact that, like, I don't know if you feel this way, but it's like the fact that you watch another opponent play and they're playing differently because they're facing 9B and not any other ice climber player, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
it's just like 9B is kind of like aura, maybe. Because I did watch a lot of ADHD's VODs back in the day, and there's like sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, like, how this is working. I feel like it's just working because he is ADHD, and like that is the mindset that the other person has. Uh like I'm playing against ADHD, like in and I don't know, he might do some random option that just works, and like I watch that option, I'm like, I have no idea how that just worked or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
I've definitely like felt that way before. So I don't know, but maybe he is doing something to kind of like condition it. I'm just not seeing it, and he's just too good for me, maybe.
It's always hard to know. Like that's one of the arts of I think of improving is you operate in a lot of uncertainty, right? Like you have some general ideas. It should give you ideas of things to try if you don't have any, or it should confirm some ideas that you have if you do have them. I think is kind of the summary of the video stuff. But you always have to account for the possibility that either you're wrong or there's just something that you just are not seeing or don't understand, and it could be any of those two things. So you just can't. There's limitations. But it's in the same way that it's like there are you need to use certain tools to accomplish a task, right? Um, you're not going to use a screwdriver to hammer in a nail usually. I mean, you could do it, but there's probably better ways to go about it with different tools. You got to make sure that you're utilizing the tools for what they are, as well as utilize as many tools as you can, in my opinion. But that being said, on the bright side of it, it does seem like that players are improving a little bit, and one of my commitments to all of this is that I guess I will bring this up now. So a lot of you have been seeing this this 4-letter word in the Discord, GCUF, um,
Is that a
and
word?
it's wait. Have I not told you?
Is that
Have you not figured out what it is?
no? I don't know what that
Oh
is.
shoot, we're gonna be doing some breaking news. Like I mean, I say it all the time. People should figure it out. It's kind of my my Smash motto. So if you're watching the stream, you're gonna find out
I
now.
assumed it was
Uh,
I assumed it was an acronym and not a word. But if it's
Well,
a word,
it's
then
not an acronym because acronyms like a where you say out the letters and they spell out the first letter spells out something too. But like ASAP is an acronym, I think, right? GCUF means see you in grand finals. I'll let that hang for a second. GCUF means see you in grand finals. If you need help sorting that out, Hunter, if you look at grand finals, the abbreviation for grand final is GF, and then you put a CU in the middle of it. Therefore, CU in grand finals.
ah, I see. I see.
Right. And
Yeah,
that has
it's
always
on
been
on the inside of it. Okay.
right. And that has been kind of like my motto for approach to Smash for a lot of reasons. So, like GCUF kind of means that it's like the motivation and mindset that you have to have in order to get to grand finals. That and then you're telling your opponent to have that same mindset as well. So when I talk about like in the in the Discord, let me find this in the Discord. What's my let me look up. I gotta just search exactly what I say. Um, It's an affirmation about the spirit of competition in the community and a mutual recognition of the proclaimer and listener's abilities and commitment to excellence. So after you lose, instead of saying G or in addition to saying GGs, I'll tell the person, "I'll see you in grand finals, win or lose," because it means you're telling that person that just lost that they'll battle back through losers bracket and make it back to you in grand finals, and that you will also do everything you can to win, as well. That I think it takes the quest for grand finals is like almost a spiritual level commitment that you have to do everything you can and do everything you will do in order to make it to the end of the road. And that's like even when you and I were talking about it, I was like, as soon as we made it to grand finals, the goal's been met. Now it's in God's hands at this point on who's going to win or lose. And unfortunately for me, you were a god that day. But and for all other purposes, the quest for grand finals extends beyond tournaments. It's in every bit of preparation that you do, every bit of practice and playing that you do, every win that you have in bracket, every loss that you have in bracket, all of it should be culminating towards that you have this goal of being the best that you can be and recognizing that your opponent also has the goal to be the best that they can be and doing your best to honor that and respect that and ultimately find yourself in the at the end of the tournament facing off for the championship. So um, that is GCUF in a nutshell. And I share that now because obviously um, the this tournament in particular was important in that I realized that that quest for grand finals it actually happened. Like I did make it to grand. So I don't know how much I don't know how much game that I have left to play. Like, I'm always trying to do better than I did before. But my hope is that everybody takes the game seriously and honors it for what it is and does their best to to find themselves in grand finals, whether I'm at that tournament or not. And if I'm at that tournament, then hopefully I see you in grand finals and we'll have a match for the win. But if you're not there, I hope you and your opponent also find yourselves in grand finals eventually and do your best down the line. So um, and I hope that people take that as a uniting factor for the community. That some people kind of try to meme on it that it's something that's divisive, but in reality, it's meant to respect. It's a token of respect that I recognize the effort that everyone wants to put in. So Yeah, any thoughts?
No.
All right, good. Fair enough. I think that's all I want to talk about, for what it takes to get to, grand finals, so to speak, how to be GCUF, as it were. Let's talk about other, other aspects. So, one thing for the event that was controversial that I think we can close out with because we're getting pretty long here, and some of us have to watch a Dodgers versus Padres game shortly. Is the rule changes that happened leading up to the event? There were quite a few rule changes for Brawl. I'm going to outline some of them off the top of my head. One of them was a ghost nerf change or a ghost change that actually I don't know if anyone saw for the tournament, but in previous SmashCon rule sets, when they defined the win condition for who wins based off if the game goes to time, they did not for doubles. They did not do a good explanation on when they say who has more percent, who wins. So the way that it was written, like a reasonable person could interpret when it says in doubles, like the player with the higher percentage loses if they're on the same stock, to mean that like if one player in doubles had a higher percentage, even if the sum total was lower, would lose the match. So I made sure that they clarified that because not every it's one of those things where everybody knows about the rule, but simultaneously when we're talking about stakes on the line and people are doing their best to compete and the rules are meant to arbitrate when there's disagreements, you got to make sure that there's always a it's as clear as it possibly can be. Yeah, we can talk about that. And the next rule change that's asked by Brawl Central was the LGL 21 situation. Before we get that, do you have any thoughts about that doubles change? I think that's pretty uncontroversial, but just give you an opportunity if you had any thoughts on that.
No, I didn't care about doubles because I was not in it, and
Fair, all right.
I don't think I've actually ever. Maybe I've seen like one doubles match, like
Go to
one or two
time.
good at a time, like in
Yeah.
history. So, it's not something I would care about, and I don't think I've never personally experienced being timed out in doubles,
Yeah.
but I don't know,
It's
maybe one
possible.
day, maybe one day it will happen. So.
We'll aspire to make that happen. Don't worry. I'm a smart guy. I'll figure it out how to make it happen. All right. So along with that, for Brawl specifically, there were some Meta Knight nerfs that were put into place. Well, actually, multiple character nerfs. So in total, it was for Meta Knight the stage cause that we had been testing in at Sweet Spot for the last 3 years was introduced as a means to nerf Meta Knight, as well as lowering his LGL from 35 to 20. And then for Ice Climbers, they were banned on FD, as well as FD was moved from a starter stage to a counterpick stage. So in the chat, they asked about LGL 21 situation. So that came up pretty famously in losers finals. So did you have any thoughts on the Meta Knight nerfs, or I guess the LGL in particular?
Just Meta Knight nerfs in general.
Yeah, or LGL or anything. We can talk about all. We can talk all about any or all the above.
Specifically Midnight Ledge. I think honestly, I think 20. I think 20 was like still too high for Midnight Ledge grab limit. I mean,
Yeah.
like he could just like I think the rule could just be like if it goes to time, Midnight just automatically loses, and like then we don't even care about the ledge grab limit. You could say a one ledge grab limit for Midnight, but if you're trying to stay in line with ledge grab specifically and not like Midnight auto losing timeout, I think 15 could be like fine, because I don't know, Meta Knights that I've seen like in the past, like at the end of the game's lifespan before Smash 4 came out, like the prime of it, I would see Meta Knights like go to time and like still have like I guess like 15 ledge grabs. Like they
Right.
kind of optimized the way and like planking, Scrooging, and like how to not grab the ledge, with like glide mechanics and all that stuff. So, I think I mean I think 20 is like 20 worked out. I think you could even go lower, to be honest, but I mean that's
Yeah.
the ledge grab specifically. So I do have other thoughts on like Meta Knight rules, but if you want to stay on topic of the ledge
Yeah,
grabs
let's
first,
talk
then
about the ledge grab and then we'll move on to the Meta Knight stuff next. I think that like I agree with you in that like let me take a step back. I don't know how good of a rule the ledge grab limit rule is in that one of the problems in that set that we ran into is both players had no idea or not had no idea I guess no idea like what was happening in reality. And I'll explain like some insight really quickly. So obviously Cody didn't know what the ledge grab limit was. You know, when he was talking about it, he thought it was 35, which to his credit, the rule had changed. So being charitable to him, sometimes it's hard to go through all the rules and identify what has changed. And the ledge grab limit being changed is how rarely it comes into play. Um, it's sometimes it's unfortunate that it happened that way. But I think even more like important on the ledge grab limit itself is that when I was playing, and I have this habit from playing, all the strong Meta Knights as well. I count the ledge grabs as I'm playing, and when I counted it, I realized that I thought that he had 21 ledge grabs at 40 seconds. Let me go back in this match. Let me see where it is because we get to we start to approach time here. So I think he grabs ledge grab, right here, I think. Right. And right there, at this point, I think I'm like, okay, that's 21. I don't really have to do anything too crazy at this point. And I'm trying not to play in a way that would, be overly like, oh, this thing is going to go to time. But I'm going to just sit here and camp out the middle of the stage at this point because I'm like, okay, he's already got, 21. And like, I'm even like, okay, I'm going to hit this balloon because I just don't really, he's going to have to come to me eventually at this point. I didn't realize at the time that he had 20 at this point. Otherwise, I would have just put on a little bit more pressure to make him grab the ledge one more time. So that way, he was at least obligated to approach. So that one right there was the 21st one. I thought that was number 22 because I miscounted somewhere in there. But when I went back and watched it, the reason that I miscounted was when I was playing him at the 4-minute mark in this match. He had only grabbed the ledge. I think one time at that point in time, or I can't remember if he had grabbed it. I thought that he had grabbed it one time and he hadn't grabbed the ledge at all, or if he had grabbed it. He had grabbed it once and I thought he grabbed it twice. I can't remember which one it was, but like at the time when I was like, okay, that one's 22, and it ended up being 21. Fortunately for me, but I think that there's a real problem with the ledge grab limit rule in that the players, can't really tell what the ledge grab limit is. So then it kind of just becomes a guessing, not randomness, but like kind of an expected value of like, okay, I think he's over the ledge grab limit or not. You know what I mean? That I wish that there was, if we are going to have the ledge grab limit be a rule that's a win condition, that's pretty immediate and in your face in the way that the clock is, there, or the percents and stocks, will tell you what the score is. So that's also something
Yeah,
that works against the ledge grab limit.
I no, I was thinking the same thing too. It's like it should being able to count to 20 or
Mhm.
35 depending on the character you're playing be or for the amount of ledge grabs, should that be a skill that we ask players to do?
Right.
I feel like it's personally I would say like no, but it is kind of a um rule that we've just had in place to kind of keep the game a little less degenerate, I guess. But yeah, I don't like the idea of counting ledge grabs be like a skill that we ask of players. And so if there are better ways to work around this problem, then I am like all for it, I guess.
Right.
I know when I was watching the set, I don't think I watched all 8 minutes, but I think I started, or maybe I was there, but not really paying attention, like on my phone. And then maybe I started clocking in like at the last couple minutes,
Mhm.
and I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes in, and I was like in my head, I was like, oh, Cody like for sure passed the ledge grab,
Uh-huh.
because I hadn't been paying attention to the beginning, so I don't know like how much he had been grabbing the ledge like in the first 5 minutes or so, but just based off like what I was watching, or when I started tuning in, I felt like I saw him grabbing the ledge like crazy, and I was like, oh, he's got to be past like he's got to easily be past like 30, 35 by now. And then little did I know he was still just barely past 20. So
Right. Well, I
uh
mean, to your credit, like from a rate standpoint, if how he was grabbing the ledge had been the same throughout the whole entire game, then that would have been true.
right.
Because like the last 3 minutes, he grabbed the ledge 20 times, which is I guess there are some people in the chat saying like, "Oh, this was just normal, normal gameplay from Meta Knight," but it's like it's very obvious that for the first 4 minutes, he had one ledge grab and he was able, to build a lead. But on the other side of it, the last 4 minutes, he had 20 ledge grabs, and I can't really do anything as an Ice Climber player if they're just off stage on on Smashville. And moreover, is like the idea that you're talking about, like the ledge grab limit might be high. Cody didn't even do like the optimal circle camp for the Meta Knight if he really wanted to, because there are ways to camp Smashville. They don't even have to grab the ledge, so to speak. Like the Japanese do the up air to a glide camp,
Hmm.
or combined with the Scrooge and intelligent use of Mock Tornado, and it's it's really tough to force Meta Knight to grab a ledge unless he's just absolutely committing to just not being on the stage. So I guess I question some people. Like I know that people just don't like ice climbers in general, or maybe they just have like in their head that Cody's the number one player in the world, and there's no reason that a player like Lux should be beating him or something like that. And he just won on a rule technicality, so to speak. But I just if you watch the um if you watch the match, it's very clear that like the number of ledge grabs just changed dramatically between 4 minutes in and 4 minutes out for the for the set, and um that's kind of it is what it is, and even then with that last ledge grab, there's still good 14 seconds that Mennonite could just go in and try to mess up the ice climbers. There are ways to kill ices very quickly as Mennonite if you want to, and that's just not unique to ice climbers either. There's a lot, Mennonite can kind of dictate the matchup pacing and gauge for virtually every matchup, in ways that other characters can't. So um I think there's space to the idea that the ledge grab limit as a rule has problems in the ways that we outlined, but simultaneously, it's like if the Meta Knight is grabbing the ledge only for 4 minutes, then then what do you do, right? As a character, regardless if it's ice climbers or anything like that. All right, Meta Knight in general.
Just in general.
Yeah, because
Um,
and re-outlining, we had the stage clause as well, and that switched the matchups such that if Mennonite went, or if opponent went Mennonite and you did not, then you would get to pick the stage regardless of bans or anything like that. So um and in regards to Mennonite, that led to we still had a lot of dittos. We had Ice Climbers versus versus Mennonite, but that was also offset by the Mennonite player going Toon Link. But I think like in losers semis and losers quarters in particular, Kaios and Vex ran into Cody's Mennonite, and that's maybe also part of the story that like the stage clause rule itself. It's not like this catch-all that like all of a sudden Mennonites beats every character, or Meta Knight loses to every character, right? Like he still wins a lot of the matches. I'd venture to guess that it's not completely it's not impossible to me, the idea that Meta Knight still wins every matchup despite the stage clause. But I don't know your thoughts. Go ahead.
um, so I guess to talk about Meta Knight rules kind of also comes in like ice climbers, because the balancing kind of goes hand in hand. I think the stage clause worked out pretty well, and I was pretty happy with it. Even though I don't think I didn't play a single Mennonite in the
Right.
entire the entire tournament.
To winning the tournament.
It's kind of yeah.
Yeah, and just to
Um,
chime in on that before I sorry to interrupt you, but there were significantly, and this is not because of the rules per se. Like, so I don't want people to read too much into the statement. But there were less Meta Knights this tournament than previous tournaments, and I think it says something that the person that won the tournament didn't run into one, right?
Yeah, yeah, it could just be coincidence. Just like
Right.
one is not a huge sample size, and so I'm definitely happy with the rule set change. I think no compromise, um, and just keeping the old SmashCon rule set is not good. So I feel like this is like better than nothing. Like definitely a huge improvement. It's not the way
Mhm.
I would currently go about going or pushing for like balancing for Meta Knight and Ice Climbers. Um, but the stage clause was something I like back a couple years ago. I was like pushing really big for. So I am glad
Right.
like we finally got to see it in action, and we are just like experimenting with different ways to kind of bounce in the game, and it helps keep an old game also kind of fresh. I think. Um, yeah, Vex did take this game that well, I don't know about this game. But he took a game from
He took
Cody's Meta
a
Knight.
game, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, which I think that just goes to show like that's probably DD's worst matchup is Meta Knight. So like the fact that he's taking games off the best Meta Knight player currently is
Oh, did he take a game, or was that against Ryan that he? Let me double check this, because
no, I'm pretty sure he took a game. But you can if you wanted to fast forward to after game
let me check
two.
the. I was checking bracket real quick. Keep going. Go ahead. I'll have an
Oh,
answer in about 30 seconds.
so I think this is yeah. I mean it helps like even like a character like Deity who's like worst matchup is Meta Knight, at
Mhm.
least like give him like a little bit of a fighting chance, I would say. Even though like he
Oh
still
yeah, he
heavily
did
gets
take a game.
dominated in this matchup even on FD.
Right.
So I think yeah, like I said, it's just an improvement. The way I think kind of the downsides, like I said, I was pushing very hard for this like a few years ago. If you wanted to go through the rule set channel and find my old messages, um, but I think kind of the downsides to this format is maybe the biggest one is like if I played against Cody, let's say Cody had beaten you in loser finals, and I'm playing
Uh
against
huh.
Cody. I had not beaten Cody in tournament, so like we are potentially going the distance of going grand finals set two,
Hmm.
maybe multiple games. I'm just going to be taking Cody to FD every single game. Like that is my best stage, like no questions. There
Yeah.
is no there's like no reason for me not to go FD in that matchup. And I feel like from a spectator point of view, that could be a little
Hmm.
stale, just watching the same matchup get played on like the same exact stage for uh what 6 to well, I guess we'd say 3 to however many games are possible,
Hmm.
10, right? So I feel like that is a little bit of a downside. And so, and I guess you guys have seen me push for this, but I think my way that I would like to bounce Meta Knight Ice Climbers is just to implement handicap.
Hmm.
They start the match with handicap on. You just like an auto. I would say 40%, maybe more, maybe less, just depending on how we feel about it. But I feel like that way, like the stages don't get as stale. Um, uh, I think it's easy to implement. Like it's very easy to enforce. I don't think there's going to be a lot of confusion around the rules, which there might be for the stage clause.
Right.
Um, although I mean, I don't think the stage clause is that complicated or anything, but I feel like people might like during the stage selecting process, if you want to switch off Meta Knight at any point, like how does that work out? Like I
Hmm.
think some people might get confused on the ruling there. So I
Right.
feel like handicap is just like a very simple, easy to enforce rule that you can also easily balance in the future if you wanted to. Like if we started with 40%, um, and we find that's not enough, like we could easily up it, or if we feel like that's too much, we can easily lower it. So like that is a plus side, and I think it also opens the door for other characters to use handicap to their advantage to kind of change the matchup. Like if you're a Sheik or Fox and you're playing against Pikachu, you could you could increase your own handicap on purpose. So I guess
Hmm.
the rule I think would be like you can set the handicap to whatever you want for your character, unless you're playing Meta Knight or Ice Climbers. You start with a minimum of X%. So I
Right.
think it also kind of just makes other matchups maybe a little bit more favorable for someone who's getting quote unquote lamed out by like a chain grabbed or something. So that
Yeah,
would be
I
my
think
solution.
I'm like I'm ambivalent on the handicap. I think that there are issues that I don't think we need to necessarily get bogged down in on this one because we didn't run handicap at at Nova. That we can, that I think we've discussed already briefly, at least. But I don't, of the many arrays of options, it's one that is potentially viable, right? So like I don't, in the same way I'm telling people, let's not leave any options on the table for improving, for the game too. That's maybe let's not leave that option on the table just at a first glance. The attractive part for me about the Meta Knight stage clause, outside of like having kind of at your behest tested it at Sweet Spot for with reasonable success now for a few years, is that my main gripe with Meta Knight has always been outside of the balance issues that a lot of people talk about, is that he doesn't feel broken to me in the way that some people kind of talk about it. It's more just the what we've had to do to the game in order to keep him, keep people happy or keep people around, which is removing stages. We're talking about LGL, Scrooging rules. The stages in particular has always been just something that like really just confounds me, right? And the stage class was attractive to me because it offers a way to hypothetically have Meta Knight keep the Meta Knight mains in the game because they're still able to, keep their character because people kind of have like the sacred connection with the character that they play, but also simultaneously restore back some of the stages that we had lost over the ages, and that's something that was always attractive to me about that proposal. Like I had been skeptical up until that point about surgical nerfs specifically to one character, because usually the standard argument is, well, if you are just nerfing just to nerf the one character, then you might as well just ban the character, which there's some truth to that sentiment. But at the same time, um, I think the sweet spots in this tournament has kind of shown that you're still able to carry, more stages, and Meta Knight is not there just ruining it at any given point in time. What wasn't lost in to me, especially on this for the tournament, was in doubles. The Meta Knight stage clause was absolutely insane for me. I was both absolutely happy that the role was working as intended in doubles, for the health of the game. But I was also furious the whole time because as a Meta Knight main in doubles, I'm like, damn, we are getting destroyed here, and it's because the character that I'm playing, means that I need to switch off if we want to leverage stage selection in the thing. So I think the Meta Knight rule was a massive success on the double side of the equation as well. That hasn't been talked about as much, I think, in these conversations.
Yeah, I don't know about. I don't know how I feel about doubles because the meta for doubles isn't really super fleshed out, especially
Yeah.
like in the current meta. Because
Mhm.
you have other strong teams like Zero Suit, Game and Watch,
The bucket
or
team, the
like
heal
Double
teams,
Wario,
right?
healing teams, and it's like those. I don't personally think like they're as strong as like certain Meta Knight teams. I think that the dominating team back in the day was ADHD and Nairo, and
Right,
no quote unquote gimmicks. They're just like straight up like uh, either outplaying or out charactering their opponents, right?
right, right.
Um, so like I mean, I like Meta Knight. Like I don't think it's really any question that Meta Knight's like the best character overall in doubles. But there are other very strong teams that can go toe to toe with like Meta Knight teams, I think.
Yeah,
But that's not like that's still kind of all a little bit more theory based, I guess. It's not the doubles is not like as fleshed out as singles has been, right? So like
sure.
maybe Meta Knight is like super dominant and can shut down any team, but I feel like that has not really been shown historically per se.
Mhm.
Even though I think he's the best and that's been shown, but yeah, other strong teams have proven that they can beat Meta Knight teams.
I mean, like, I don't know. I would challenge that a little bit. And like, they banned double Meta Knight, right? So that was, um, after Apex 2012. That like, even if the full Meta Knight ban didn't stick, that one actually stayed around, right?
Hmm.
Pretty uncontroversially. And I can't think of like a major tournament that a non Meta Knight team won. In doubles, because ADHD Nairo, Mewtwo King was always doing this thing. I think maybe like
Well,
Shaky and Nick Riddle did well in doubles on occasion.
I would say that again, the doubles was not like super fleshed out.
Right.
Um, did we really ever see like Salem teaming with Vinny with Zero Suit Game and Watch, like the best Zero Suit, the best Game
Oh,
and
that's
Watch,
true.
like teaming and trying to to optimize that team? I guess it was just
Right.
easier and more people already had and were
The
playing
Meta
Meta
Knights.
Knight, so like
Right.
very very common character, so it's just easier to just play that team or play a team with Meta Knight in there, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
like yeah, it was, I guess as a Zero Suit main, maybe you have a hard time finding a Game & Watch partner or something like that. And I don't know like how big the double scene was in Japan, but then you had I'm forgetting exactly their tags, but what Goma? It was the
Taheda and
Lucario Lucas team,
yeah,
right?
Taheda, and I forgot the Lucas name.
Yeah,
Not
Taheda. I
Lucas,
think
the Lucario's name.
was it
Off on the
Goma or so? I feel like it was
something like
Goma or
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know, were they winning all the doubles tournaments in Japan? Like at their big tournaments? Like did they have a doubles tournament at
Do
SRT?
they have a
I don't
doubles
know.
tournament at
Like that
all? I don't
the
know.
doubles is some like uh Japanese doubles is something that's kind of lost on me. I just do know they were like a very dominant team in Japan.
Right.
Um and so I don't know. Like yeah, I don't think doubles was super fleshed out. So I
Mhm.
guess that would be my kind of response to
Sure.
that.
Um, Anything else on Meta Knight that we might have missed?
I guess well you touched on it, but I guess I didn't. But I think it's I mean I agree like that in the best theoretical like practice. Like I feel like Meta Knight and Ice Climbers have kind of crossed the threshold of overpowered characters where they could both be like banned.
Mhm.
Um but right, there's like I mean there's a lot of people that are very dedicated to the characters, like such as you for Ice Climbers and like
Right.
Meta Knight. And I feel like Smash is a game where you get very attached to the character that you play, more so than most other like fighting games or games in general. Where you're not really like in a lot of other games, I feel like you see counter picking more than Smash as a whole. I could be wrong about that. That's just kind of how I feel. But I do think Smash is yeah, you get very attached to the character, you work very hard with your character. You see way more character specialists and mains in Smash, I think, than other games. So I feel like it's
Mhm.
harder to ban characters in the game, even if they've kind of crossed that threshold. Um uh where like compromising and like trying to find surgical rules or rules that let people play the character they want and still have fun. I think that is I feel like that might be easier. I was talking to Hinkage about this, but I feel
Mhm.
like at the tournament, but I think that if the people who were pro ban, and I am pro ban, just to be clear, like I think
Right.
the characters like should be banned. Um, or yeah, that they've crossed that threshold. But I feel like that the people like if you're pro ban, like we've been arguing this for like so long. I think if we try to push for like a compromise in the middle, I think we would have had like this Supernova rule set like way earlier.
Mhm.
It was just always like anti-ban versus pro-ban and very black and white, and not too many people trying to meet somewhere in the middle. Where like if we had more people just trying to meet somewhere in the middle, we would have had this change way earlier. And so yeah, I wish we did have this change way earlier.
Right.
Even if this wasn't like a good rule, the stage clause, which I do like again, I do think it is, but even if it wasn't a good rule, at least we've experimented and tried it out sooner, and we could make adjustments to
Right.
it and maybe try other rules like the handicap a rule, or some other rule. It doesn't matter like what the rule is, but like we could have had progress in the game a lot sooner, I think, if people were more
Yeah.
willing to compromise.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like one of my, I have a little bit of reputation in the community for being, I don't know, a troll's not the right word, but very interesting arguments on the rule set. And my newest, thought is that there are some people that are so anti-ban on Meta Knight, and maybe Ice Climbers to a lesser extent, but Meta Knight in particular, where they lose their mind if there's any changes at all, that they're actually pro ban. In so much as like it seems obvious to me that if you are an anti-ban, player, which for all intents and purposes, I kind of, I'm pretty, I think I'm mostly, I don't know, it's hard to say where I'm like 50-50 at this point on pro ban or on anti ban. In that like I'm definitely not though in the we should do nothing like sort of situation, right? So I'm not that kind of anti-ban, but there are some people that like when this rule set was put in, they're like, oh, this is Lux's ideal rule set and stuff like that. Regarding regardless of the idea that I put forward like a lot of different other rules that we could have ran to to be even more of a change, but we. The brief that Kath gave me was to what's the best way to compromise between all these camps and um, in a way that not everybody's going to be happy. Actually, maybe most people won't be fully happy with it, but they'll be able to live with it. And this is kind of where we where we landed. And it feels like just from the vibe at being at the event, most of the people were pro ban obviously would like to see the character banned, but they were happy that something was being done. And then the people that were anti-ban were like, at the same time, look, I get it. People want this character banned, so I'm just happy I get to play my character. And it kind of threaded the needle on that front. Is that like a reasonable assessment in your opinion too?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you say that. I actually don't know anyone at the tournament who is anti-ban, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there were some people. But I was just trying to. You said that, and I was like trying to cycle through in my head, like, oh, who is anti-ban right now?
Yeah.
And some people, I guess, some people's opinions like change, but like I said, I think banning the characters could be uh kind of dangerous at the same time, or risky, because you don't want to like uh alienate or kick out people, or essentially kick out people that that are playing this game right now, and
Mhm.
they do want to just have fun playing their characters. So I don't want to risk making the community smaller, I guess. So like
Right.
in my mind, the safest option um that would be good for the health of the game would be to try to find a compromise where we can nerf Midnight and Ice Climbers, without like, so people can still play their character and have fun with them. Um,
Right.
but like not not get rid of them.
Yeah, and and on the other side of it too, some of the pro band would argue is like, I think Chia put in the chat that outside of the risk that you're talking about, there's the risk that doing nothing or not nerfing enough could cause people to leave or prevent us from gaining new people. And it's always hard to tell. Like there is a very real risk of people not coming. There's also a risk of people leaving. It's I don't know if there's a way to actually verify any of these, any of these ideas in some sort of a satisfactory way that would be convincing. I think a lot of us have to just come to the idea that people are, that are doing they're doing their best, and then people are trying to, make the game better in ways that are that honors a lot of different stuff. Um, Next question. This because we haven't touched on ice climbers too much yet, and this may be the last topic before we call it because we're maybe running about 45 minutes longer than I thought we were. Ashley asked, assuming a rule can be written that doesn't have loopholes that can get exploited, what are your thoughts on an ice climbers chain grab ban? I will start right now. I don't think that there is a way to write an ice climber handoff ban that's without loopholes or without enforcement problems. And I'll say that as probably the foremost expert on the character in the history of the game. Um, the reason that I say that is not like even trying to exploit the character or anything like that, but in the natural course of gameplay, there's going to be a lot of issues that are going to be kind of like 50-50 judgment calls on like if this is a chain grab or not. So the easiest example that I came up with recently while playing with Grunion was because I was practicing no chain grab ice climbers, for example, is that if an ice climber tries to do a solo down throw chain grab, because Nana's ahead in the move queue, in terms of cooldowns, because the Popo is doing a ice climber down throw, Nana is going to grab first in that queue. So you run into a situation then where you've done a down throw with Popo, but then Nana has grabbed in a way that's inescapable for the opponent for the opponent. At which point then is that like a handoff at that point, right? And how do you do you pause the game and call a TO to judge that or not? I don't think there's really a way, for the character, if you are determined to ban handoffs, to really measure that out, unless it starts, unless you start getting into stuff like, ice climbers cannot do a handoff above, whatever the solo down throw ranges are for characters. But then you'll start running into sometimes solo down throw changes on different stages, higher or lower or anything like that. It's something that's like extremely difficult to enforce in ways that, I think if people play ice climbers, you're going to end up with a lot of people accidentally handing off people in ways that they never intended, but also causing problems for their opponent. And then, in the same way, the ledge grab limit is a bad rule because, it's hard to tell if it's been violated or not. That that chain grab thing, you're going to run into that as well. I don't know your thoughts on that.
I guess I'm not like super well in tune with like melee or melee ice climbers, but I would say they've banned wobbling in melee, and could you not, like, with a lot of success, I would say. I feel like people have received it very well. Ice climber players are still doing well in tournament, even without wobbling. So I guess I would say, wouldn't you be able to make the same argument for melee ice climbers, in that, like, isn't that hard to enforce if you don't have a TO watching, and the ice climber player accidentally keeps them held in the grab longer than they should have? Maybe they accidentally wobbled a single time, done the pummel thing a single time. Like, you could call it a TO, but I've never heard of that happening in the melee scene, like where they've
don't they
had
have
any problems enforcing it.
Don't they have a fix on that? Like, didn't they literally patch their game to make it so that it breaks out?
Maybe in the neck play build, but I don't know. Did they do that
maybe not offline?
Did they do that like in the main tournament series?
I
feel like that would
I don't
be
know enough about I don't know.
maybe it's maybe it's like stealthed. Yeah, and Slippy, but not offline, like Chia is saying. So I feel like if you don't have someone watching, like, someone could try wobbling, or if you don't have a TO watching, like, you could have someone could like try testing the limit and try wobbling their opponent and see if they can get away with it. But
I think what I'm talking about is maybe even like a little bit deeper into it, and like, because the example that you're talking about, like in melee, for example, somebody is just, they know the rule and they wobble, and then they're trying to get away with it. Like, they are not intending to follow the rule, and they violate it, and they try to get away with it, right? But what I'm talking about in this specific case is that you're going to end up with ice climber players that specifically are trying to follow the rule, but then because of the mechanics of how the climbers are desynced when they're grabbing, especially in these down throw situations, you're going to run into a situation where somebody that's intending to follow the rule is going to accidentally break the rule relatively easily. Like, it could be a situation like, let's say somebody mashes out, right, of a grab, and you're trying to throw them, But when they mash out, they mash out of the ground, a ground break, because you pummel before you throw, and then you grab them with the other climber, because you're trying to do a down throw timing, because it has similar regrab timings on the grab break. At that point, you're trying to not necessarily you're trying to buffer a down throw regrab for the solo down throw, but then you accidentally grab your opponent that mashed out of a grab in that scenario too. Those are like two things that I can think of. A lot of it's just like
So
kind of
when
grounded in these solo
when
down
you
throw
say
situations.
an ice climber player trying to follow the
Right.
rule, like what rule
Yeah.
are you referencing? Like
Like
no,
banning
they can't,
handoffs.
no
Right.
handoffs at
Like
all.
they can't throw
So
like
you
they
said,
can't throw from one climber to the other
yeah, so you
without their
said
opponent being able to
earlier
escape.
that you could not think of any rule that could like be like, would you be able to think of a rule that could follow um the same, I don't know how you would say it, the same like spirit that the melee ice climbers, I guess, they have with their wobbling rule, where it's like, if we ignore the fact that you can't have a TO watching every single match, but it's seemed to
Yeah.
have worked out for melee. Can you think of a way to kind of make it fair? I feel like this was something I saw in the Discord. I don't remember who said it, but I thought it was an interesting idea, and maybe you can like tell me this is an awful idea or something like that, because
Sure.
I don't know the intricacies of ice climbers like you do, obviously. But I think someone had said like, what if you made a rule where ice climbers could only use like each throw one time, or
Uh-huh.
something like that. Like it doesn't have to be specifically that, but like they can. I'm fine with ice climbers being able to hand off, but like with a limit to it, right? So like,
Uh-huh.
is there a compromisable rule that we can find, even if it's not perfect, like it could work in practice?
Yeah, I mean, even with like they can only throw one time, like, and this is just hearing it now without even really thinking about it. Would that what throw one time include a solo down throw chain grab, or does that not count for the handoff?
Um, I don't know, like that maybe. What would you think would be fair?
I don't know. Like, I don't like in terms of fairness. I don't know if that like matters. I just don't know if a player is like entitled to being able to use a tactic the way that that we're talking about in the fair sense. Like, because when people talk about the fair, they're like, okay, they don't want to disrupt too much of the meta, right, and make ice climbers absolutely useless. Is kind of what they're thinking about, and that part I don't really care about. Like in the same way that I tell the Meta Knights, like for the stage clause, they're like, Meta Knight might lose a matchup. I say it's okay for Meta Knight to have a losing matchup. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the point of the rule. For these chain grab things, like if you ban chain grabs and they become low tier all of a sudden, that's just part. That's just part of the rule. Like I don't think anyone's entitled to being a top tier character per se. But I'm just talking about like if somebody is just trying to in normal gameplay not accidentally violate the rule. I don't know. It's a lot of it is grounded in maybe do we have to ban ice climber down throw? That could be that might be something we would have to consider as a possibility, because that runs into a lot of like just because of how the climbers are next to each other and accidentally might accidentally do a handoff or something like that, or one too many handoffs. I'd have to like actually look into the one at a time. Like maybe yes, like you can do one of each one, but it can't be a down throw first. And do solo down throws count or not? Because technically the opponent can't escape out of a solo down throw, but you are using up stage. Do hobbles count? Or footstool, ice block, resets. Do those count? Even though those technically don't work um, on a variety of stages. It could be a lot of different factors. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I mean,
really know. I'm
you're
just more afraid of like getting DQ'd. Despite my doing my best to follow the rules outside of just because effectively then you're just talking about in terms of fairness. If assuming fair means being able to use the character without accidentally breaking the rules, despite your best intentions to follow them, then that's where we have a problem. I guess that's my major concern.
okay. Well, I guess just to choose one route and to go with it. Okay, what if we said yes? The solo. or we've seen no, the solo ice climber down throw that does not count. Like you can
Right.
do that. So and then where do we go with that?
Um, if that doesn't count, then that's where I said you'll run into issues like you might accidentally grab. I guess so. I don't know because then if you accidentally grab, then it just goes to that timer, right? But what if you solo down throw after you accidentally grab somebody from because you can continue, especially with Nana doing less damage. Sometimes there might be situations where her down throw will go less knockback too. Not often because she doesn't have the staleness, but sometimes. I don't know how that. We'd have to like really laser in like in a way that's extremely complicated to write, which is not necessarily a deal breaker to make a rule about that. But it's going to be difficult to create a rule that is functional that doesn't that bans what we want to ban but doesn't ban somebody trying to follow the rule. It's just the main crux. I'm not saying that it's impossible now. Maybe it might not be impossible, but it'll be very difficult at the very least. I can think of a lot of ways that for being a champion of finding ways to drop grabs. uh, I'm also a champion at figuring out ways to salvage grabs inadvertently. So
Hmm. Well,
I don't
maybe
know.
it's
It's hard.
maybe it's something that we would just have to uh just trial and error. And
Right.
maybe despite maybe to some detriments to ice climber players, like just to implement something, see what works, see what problems that we run into, and see if there's a good way to handle the problems.
Right. I mean, if we do that and in good faith, people are not just like, oh, DQ Lux for accidentally doing this thing, then that's something that I'm willing to pilot, test pilot for people and figure out, right? Because that's like a fun challenge for me, so to speak. I just it's a lot of effort. On my end, in terms of not to quote Tommy in the role set discussion, but the simplicity argument. It seems like the most simple answer for ice climbers is just to add more stages to the character and that doesn't run into those issues of having to
Yeah,
craft
and
like a crazy rule.
stages. I mean, I love playing a lot of the stages. There are some stages that I still don't think should be legal, and
Yeah.
some that I'm perfectly fine with being legal. I do, and we've talked about this, but I do think it's like it could be like there's multiple ways it could go, right? Like so maybe Brawl gets seen as like the from the wider Smash community, it gets seen as like the party game because we're playing on these
Uh-huh.
wacky stages that are uncompetitive for other games
Right.
or that they think is uncompetitive for other games. But at the same time, maybe it gives Brawl a chance to kind of build its own identity or more of
Right.
an identity, and maybe people look at it like, hey, this looks fun, or this looks interesting. All the stage tech or nuances that these guys are pulling off. So
Right.
I feel like after because I've been in the Ultimate and Smash 4 community, I feel like it probably would get seen as the former, just
Yeah.
from what I know of other players, and I think the viewership and the perspection of the game is very important.
Right.
Um, so that's why I'm more hesitant to try other stages, despite enjoying playing on stages on like Rainbow and Delfino. But um, I don't know that's why I kind of am more against including stages like at this time. But I wouldn't be sad about it. Like I'd still enter tournaments and I would still have a good time. But
The other thing, anything else on ice climbers? Well, a lot to think about. But if not, anything else? Oh, one thing to think about is one thing that's kind of crazy to me about these topics. People tend to talk about like there's only like one rule set. Like I know that there's something important about Supernova because it's the biggest tournament, but I wonder if I've been kind of especially out of my experience out of the Unity rule set committee being on the we'll say the losing side of pretty much every single vote that we had. That I'm pretty jaded on the idea that I just don't know if there necessarily needs to be a universal rule set, and I think some of the tension on this is that Supernova is the most important tournament, and I wonder if we would be able to lower the temperature on some of the discussions if we were able to create a second major tournament in the way that Supernova has the prestige, if that makes sense.
Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know if this is where the discussion's going, but I feel like Genesis will be like a prime spot for it.
Yeah.
It's already a major established tournament. Um, like Supernova, it already has like a wide range of Smash players already there, so like
Hmm.
it's could be easy to get people that are just trying to have fun with the game to enter. I don't think it's maybe as I feel like Genesis is a little bit more of a serious tournament compared to Supernova, where I feel like you have a lot of casuals going to Supernova just to have a good time and enter.
Right.
I think I mean Supernova with SmashCon, it was like a celebration of Smash, so it just might be probably harder.
Hmm.
But it'd be good to have something on the West Coast like that. Also,
Right.
I think it'd be harder for me to get out there now with my job because
Yeah.
California is
True.
a long flight. Um, but that I mean that's kind of the reason why I didn't go last year. It's just it's long and it probably takes me um, requires me probably to miss 2 days of work instead of just one for
Gotcha.
Supernova. So but yeah, I mean having like another major tournament and also Genesis is also very spaced out. You know, it's like 6 months basically away from a Supernova.
Right. Right.
So it's I feel like that's like I feel like Genesis is kind of like the perfect tournament for that to kind of to hold that. But I mean yeah, more tournaments the better. I think the easiest way to get more big brawl tournaments is just to kind of piggyback off
Hmm.
of other like big Smash tournaments that already have players there that we can kind of pool from. Gommel too. Gommel's a great tournament for that. I wish I knew Brawl was going to be at Gommel this year, or I would have tried to go probably.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one last topic that I wanted to hit on for rules, and then we'll call it. Sorry, I said the last one was the last one, but I lied because one thing came up. I am concerned about the length of the game that it takes. In that,
Uh huh.
I was doing some stats, and assuming a top eight, you can play, best of five. Let's say it goes to all 5 games, and there's potentially 11 sets overall. Let me see if I have the exact numbers. I put it in the chat somewhere. Let's see. We went about 30 minutes overtime. This top eight because we tried to get all top eight. We got all top eight successfully on stream. Um, but we did that with only using 65% of the potential games um for the tournament. Like we had a lot of 3-0s and 3-1s in this grand finals. Do you have any? Do you like? I don't want to see us like not get asked back to have these kinds of opportunities because our game takes forever to play. I just wonder if there's some way that we need to start thinking about how to shorten up these matches.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think two stock is better for Brawl.
Uh huh.
I would do two stock 6 minutes, but I wouldn't be against trying other things too.
Right.
Um, I think if anyone's against two stocks, I feel like I would urge them to at least try it. Because I remember having this conversation with Reflex back in 2014, and I was
Hmm.
very against two stock. I was like, I hate the idea of this. This sounds terrible. But
Hmm.
after playing other Smash games, like Smash 4, I think two stock was probably kind of bad in Smash 4 because of Rage. But the length of time for Smash 4 and Ultimate compared to Brawl, I think after like playing other Smash games, I think two stock would be much better for Brawl, and 2014 me would be like calling me stupid right now, because it's basically what I did to Reflex at the time. Um, but I don't know. I think my main arguments was just like I didn't want the game to be less volatile,
Right.
um, or more volatile. I don't want it to be more volatile. I want it to be less volatile with three stocks. Um, but I don't know. I feel like at some point it's like, well, if you want it more volatile, couldn't you just want more like four stocks or five stocks? And obviously there's
Hmm.
there's a line that needs to be set, and I think two stocks is probably like where I would put that line right now. I think
Yeah.
you could. I think there are enough interactions that happen in the game where you can usually determine who the better player is by the first two stocks taken. I'm wondering if someone maybe even me if I have time, but like if someone could find like maybe using Supernova or any other past data, just like how many times does the or how often does the person who takes the first two stocks first win?
Right.
Versus them not winning, you know. Um, I mean, it's like I feel like it's an arbitrary line to be crossed or to cross at some point, but I think two stocks is fine for the game.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I would note is that if 2014 you talked to you now and called you stupid, you just throw up that you won the trophy. You're the champ, the best player in the world currently. So he's gonna kind of have to hold his opinions back then. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. Thank you, Player-1 Hunter, for joining me on this 2 hour excursion on the game. Thank you for all the people that were in the chat contributing and throwing out some ideas. Hopefully, this is just something that you know, the event Supernova 2025 was a great event. My results biasing me aside, I loved every moment of it. I'm glad that you won, and I hope that we can continue momentum into the future for the game moving forward. So hopefully this conversation was at least fair and gave people some ideas to think about when it comes to some of the yelling at each other that's been happening in our community Discord. Any last thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, so I don't want to. I did just have a last thought.
Sure.
Actually, I don't. I know we're trying to wrap up, so maybe we
Yeah,
can
no
keep it
worries.
quick. Um, but another rule that we just didn't talk about at Supernova 2 was I'm seeing on the stream now, Pokemon Stadium is a starter and FD is a counter pick.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, which we talked a little bit about this, and I do think FD is definitely like a counter pick worthy stage, but I don't
Yeah.
like the idea of Stadium being a starter stage either.
What would you put
Um,
instead?
well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm being biased as a Diddy main, but I think FD is probably better over Pokemon Stadium for the reason that you're seeing right now. Like
Is it wait at the
these
tree?
games are taking too long, right? We were just talking about that, and
Yeah, sure.
right. I think Stadium is a big problem because of the waiting. Otherwise, I'm perfectly fine with the stage. But
Mhm.
and I do think FD is kind of a bad stage for as a starter because of all the polarizing matchups. But
Right.
I mean, if we're trying to debate like FD versus Stadium, like what's the better starter? I would say FD still probably. Some solutions, I guess, to that would either be maybe experimenting with the custom stage builder. Like that is something that I feel
Hmm.
like might
Like a
be a little
standardized
unexplored.
custom stage.
Yeah, like so that maybe we can just come to an agreement to as a community.
Oh, Vex
Um,
is Psycho, by the way. I don't know if you just saw that, but anyway, keep going.
we could you could also just make maybe just full state striking legal. I don't know. I know you have to do the or for you would say that we have to do the 4N minus one thing, right? Is it
Yeah.
4N minus one?
Well, like
Um,
there are tiers to it, right? Like 4N plus one it is important if you want players to have equal say on the rule set, right?
right.
If you want to also strike, you need an odd number of stages. So even just 2N plus one is important. But at that point, at 2N plus one, half of those situations are going to be where one player has more say over the stage just by virtue of information that they have when striking, which doesn't always play out that much as a problem. But if we want to be equal under the rule set, that is something to really I think take seriously.
Hmm.
So I mean, we could do a three or even like a seven stage striking for the rule sets. Like in Kansas,
Well,
we
that
do
was
9 or 13. So
my next thought would be we could do three stage starters, FD, Battlefield, Yoshi's Island, or something like
uh,
that too. Um,
no, not Smashville.
but
You want Yoshi's?
oh, I mean, sorry, that's one. Not FD. Smashville, Battlefield, Yoshi's Island, or
Oh,
something
okay, yeah, there you go.
like yeah. Yeah, I misspoke. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think Stadium being a starter is it. Um, yeah,
I think
because of
all
the
stages should
game
be
length.
starters, so that's gonna be a tough sell for me. But I'm sure there are people. I'm probably in the
Or yeah,
minority
I
in
mean,
the
or full
community.
force, full stage striking.
Yeah,
Like just make them all legal then, or the starter
right.
at that point. So, um, I don't know. Yeah, but that's I guess all I have to say. Maybe custom stage builder. I feel like that is a potentially unexplored option, and it might be a really bad idea, but it's not really explored, and I think it could be explored a little bit more.
Fair. All right, man. That's I think that's everything. Any last words before we close out?
Um, no, just always
All
fun
right.
talking to you, Lex. So
Yeah, I
glad we had
appreciate
this
you.
conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your craft, and on to the next one. I will see you in grand finals, my friend.
Same.